The Grettenberger Farmhouse was a typical style in the 1800s during an era of Gothic revival. It was originally built by Johann Grettenberger between 1862 and 1865 for his son Jacob and his family. It was located on Marsh Road between Hamilton and Grand River Avenue until it was relocated in 1973.
After the settlers had made their initial homes, usually like the log cabin that we have here, when they were able to, and when their families were growing and expanding, of course, they had really big families back then, they would build houses called Greek Revival style. Now, the room we're in here is basically what the house consisted of when it was first built, in essentially just this square area. And what they did would build a frame out of wood, because of course they were surrounded by trees. That's what they had to build with. And then they would have to try to insulate it to make it warmer in winter and cooler in summer. What they did, and I can show you over here, is cut laths out of wood, and then they made plaster using some horsehair to hold the plaster together to put between the laths, and then they used newspapers for further insulation before they covered everything with wallpaper.
There were many houses during that period of time, but this one in particular was worth the cost and effort of restoration and relocation.
Many of the older buildings were torn down, so there aren't so many left to show people what life was like back then. Also, it's rather special because it wasn't so much altered that we had to change a great deal of it to make it look the way it did 150 years ago. The third thing was that the Grettenbergers were so generous in donating this building to the village. And of course, not everyone would be willing to sacrifice a nice house to have it moved to a historical village. It's really as a kind of showplace for the village. It shows our visitors, mostly school children, what life was like back then, without electricity, without bathrooms, without running water, without television and Game Boys and everything else they have. And they find it very interesting.